Hi, everybody. Welcome to another English class here on Verbling.com. My name is Lisa, and I'm one of the English teachers here at Verbling. And in this hour, we're going to be doing a reading class. So we're going to be reading an article and talking about it as well. One of the nice things about the reading class is it's a good way for you to learn some new vocabulary, practice your grammar structures, learn something interesting, by reading the article, and also get to speak. So the reading class involves a lot of different things that are happening for you that are really good for your English fluency so that you can improve your English, your understanding, your comprehension, your listening skills, your speaking. So a lot of things are happening in the reading class, which are really great for you. Okay, so if you want to join me and you have a reservation, then of course you can use the reservation now. If you don't have a reservation, then that's okay. You can just wait and then join the class with using the join class button as soon as you see it. The way it works here on Verbling is you do need to be a member to join the class. So if you're at the Verbling.com website right now and you're just looking at the classes that are available and you click on this class, what you're seeing is a live streaming video. So this is it's a class, and we're going to be having the class for 1 hour. Each Verbling class lasts for 1 hour, and each class is different. Sometimes we have classes like I'm having this one now with the reading. Sometimes I just did a speaking class. Sometimes we have a listening class. So it just really depends on what you want to do. You can join any class, any time. And the way you join is just by clicking on the button. So I'm just waiting to see who's going to show up. We did have a lot of reservations for this class. If you're a member on Verbling, one of the things you can do is make a reservation. So if you're looking at your schedule and you say, oh, I want to take a class, tonight at 9 o'clock, then you can just look and see who's teaching, and you can choose which one you want to attend and then make a reservation. However, the reservations only are good for the first 2 minutes of the class. After that, then anybody can join. So it can be a good idea to make a reservation for a class if you know for sure you want to be there and you want to go to that class. But if you're not sure and you don't know, usually it's okay to just come at the time that the class is going to start and then join at that point. So that's what a lot of people do, and that usually works. Sometimes we do have a full class. Certain times of the day can be kind of crowded, and other times are not as busy. So it just depends on what you're wanting to do and all that. So I'm gonna get started here. So if you guys want to join me for this class, I don't know where everybody is who made the reservations. Where did you guys go? I know there is one other class going on right now in Verbling, but it also doesn't have very many people in it. So I'm wondering where everybody went. Let me just put up in the screen share what we're doing. Sometimes it happens that people are having trouble and they're not getting into the class. So I don't know if anybody is having any trouble trying to join. Let me ask you guys. I'm writing in the Verbling chat there. So another thing about Verbling is if you are not a member, you get to watch the class for free. You don't get to come in and participate, but you get to watch the class, and you can also write in the Verbling chat box. So if you're watching this video right now, for example, you can type into the Verbling chat box, and then that way we will see, or I will see, what's going on over there. All right, so I'm going to do the screen share here and talk about the article that we're going to read today. It's from NPR.org. So NPR.org is a public radio station here in the United States that's played pretty much everywhere around the United States. Local radio stations have NPR shows on their stations. And it's also a website where you can go and get information related to lots of different topics. This is kind of a special series here, and it's called For More Millennials, It's Kids First, Marriage Maybe. So it's a kind of an interesting thing that's happening here in the United States with the younger generation of people in their 20s, for example, right now, maybe their early 30s, but mostly their mid 20s. So this article is talking about this idea that for a lot of these people, this age group, they're having their kids first before they're getting married. Getting married doesn't seem to be their number one goal at this time. So that's what we're going to be reading about. As usual, I put it here. So I see we do have some people who want to read along with us. So I'm going to start reading. If you want to join the class, it doesn't matter if you had a reservation or not, because now people can just join. And if you want to read along with me, then you can join. Otherwise, I'm going to read and I'm going to give the class for you guys, and anybody can join at any time. So I'm going to get started here. For more millennials, it's kids first, marriage maybe. Decades ago, an oops pregnancy might have meant a rush to the altar. But when Michelle Sheridan got pregnant 3 years ago, the topic of marriage never came up with her boyfriend, Philip Underwood, whom she lives with in Frederick, Maryland. If anything, it was the opposite. Okay, so I like to just read a little bit at a time and then go over some of the words and phrases. And one of the great things about the reading class is this is it. This is real English. This is the English that you should want to be able to read. This should be your goal, because this is how you use English in real life. You go to a website, you read an article, and then you talk about it. And that's what people do. In real life, you have conversations about stuff that's going on, stuff that you've read or that you've watched or that you've talked about with other people. And this is a great way to learn useful vocabulary. And the reason why it's useful is because it's being used. So you have to learn it in order to understand what you're reading and in order to talk about it once you're done reading it. Okay, so decades ago, an oops pregnancy. What does that mean? An oops pregnancy. Okay, a pregnancy obviously is when a woman gets pregnant. She's going to have a baby. And an oops means by mistake, so not planned. So when a man and a woman have sex and it results in a pregnancy, but they were not planning on it, that's called an oops pregnancy. They weren't planning. It was a surprise. Sometimes we say it was a surprise. So decades ago, so many years ago, people, if this happened to them, if they had an oops pregnancy, this would have meant that they would rush to the altar. So to rush to the altar means to go get married. You get married at the altar. The altar is the place in front of the church, for example, where you stand, the bride and the groom, and then the preacher or somebody does the service, and then you get married. That's in front of the altar there. So that just means a long time ago, if you had a mistake, you got pregnant by mistake or by surprise, you would hurry up and go get married. But that's not what happened when Michelle got pregnant 3 years ago. The topic of marriage, so the idea of talking about marriage, never came up. They didn't even consider talking about it. So to come up here is a phrasal verb. So to come up in a conversation. So when something comes up, it means you want to talk about it with somebody. But they didn't talk about it. Instead, it was kind of the opposite. I'll keep reading here. It changes the dynamic of the household, she says. I had a friend who put off her marriage, got pregnant, and she's like, let's just wait because we don't know if we're going to be able to make it through this. That attitude reflects a sea change in family life. For the generation under age 35, nearly half of all births are now outside marriage. This family structure, once common mainly among African Americans and the poor, is spreading across races and into the middle class. Okay, hi Ruby, welcome. I'm glad you're participating there in the chat. That's great. Okay, so it changes the dynamic. So the dynamic is kind of like what happens inside the household. So what it looks like, what people are doing, how it is living in a household. So the dynamic, it gets changed when you get married. That's what she's saying. So, you might just be living with your boyfriend or your girlfriend, and then all of a sudden you want to get married, and then it changes. Something changes. It's different, okay? She says she had a friend who put off her marriage. To put off, another way to say that would be to delay. So she delayed it. She didn't want to get married. If you put off something, it means you save it until later. You say, I'm not going to do it now. I'm going to put it off until later. So that's another phrasal verb there. It's very useful. If you put stuff off until another day, it means you're just waiting to do it. And her excuse was, let's just wait, cause, that's short for because we don't know if we're going to be able to make it through this. So to make it through this means to stay married. Getting married, having kids, all that kind of stuff can be difficult, and people end up getting divorced, so they don't make it through the marriage. That's what she's saying. And this attitude, this way of looking at something is a sea change. It shows, reflects means it shows a sea change in family life. So a sea change is a big change. So this is really different from people who used to, live 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago more. All right, so for the generation under 35, nearly half of all births are now outside marriage. Hi there, Amparo. Welcome.
Hi, teacher. How are you?
I'm good. I was wondering where everybody was because there were 8 reservations, but nobody showed up.
Yes, yes. I just made a reservation, but I have a little headache.
Oh,
So,
no.
yeah, what a
Okay.
bummer. But
Yeah. You're okay to participate, though?
yeah,
You want to
yeah,
read? Okay. Have you, did you already see from the beginning what this is about? I read a little bit already.
yeah. I read
Okay. Okay, cool. Well, why don't you go ahead and read?
okay. Okay. That attitude reflects a big change in family life for the generation under age 35. Nearly half of all births are now outside marriage. This family structure, once common mainly among African Americans and the poor, is spreading across races and into the middle class.
Mm-hmm. So, Amparo, here we have Aldona too. Hi, Aldona. Welcome, guys. So I was just going over the vocabulary a little bit. So it's just a big change, mainly. I don't know if it's happening. We're going to talk a little bit about it once we finish reading it, but it's just describing the fact that there are these young people who we call the millennials, and they're basically not rushing to get married. And so they'll even have kids, but it doesn't necessarily mean they have to get married like it used to before. So Aldona, in the beginning, they talked about having an oops pregnancy, like a surprise pregnancy, and that used to mean that people would go and hurry up and get married, like rush to the altar. But now that's not the case. You don't have to do that. So Aldona, why don't you go ahead and read this paragraph? Factor in. Aldona, I don't hear your voice. There you go. I hear now.
Should I read that?
Yes, please.
Okay. Factor in education, though, and the difference is stark, raising concerns of a new class divide among young women without a college degree. Those like Michelle Sheridan, 55% of births outside marriage, according to an analysis by the research group Child Trends. For those with at least a 4-year degree, it's just 9%.
So this part here was saying that this was more common, this family structure of having babies without being married. That used to be more common for African Americans and poor people. But factor in education. Factoring in means considering it. So if you take into consideration, the difference is stark. So it means that, it's a strong contrast there. So this is raising concerns. People are becoming concerned about a new class divide between the classes, the poor. It's not just the poor people anymore. Okay, so this lady, she does, however, not have a college degree. So without college degrees, 55% of the births are outside marriage. For those with at least a 4-year degree, it's just 9%. So this is, basically you could summarize this paragraph saying the statistics show that the more highly educated you are, so the longer you've spent in school, going to college and that kind of stuff, less likely that you'll have a birth outside of a marriage. Like half of all U.S. pregnancies, Sheridan's was not exactly planned. We think we mistimed something, she says, but it wasn't really like a bad time, or I don't know, it just seemed like an okay thing to do. Okay, Amparo.
Like half of all U.S. pregnancies, Sheridan's was not exactly planned. We think we mistimed something, she says, but it wasn't really like a bad time, or I don't know, it just seemed like an okay thing to do.
Yeah. So that's interesting. Half of all U.S. pregnancies are unplanned, is what that's basically saying. They're surprises. If you mistime something, obviously you're mistiming when you're ovulating. You're not sure if you're fertile or something, and you, of course, have sex, and then you can get pregnant. So that's what it means there, mistimed something. I guess I don't really have to read. You guys can just read. Aldona, you can read that. Why don't you go ahead and read that whole thing right there?
Yes. I start at the pregnancy test for 10 minutes, waiting for it to change, Understood says. But then he got really happy. It was actually really cute, Sheridan said. It wasn't Sheridan's first child. Her older son, Logan, is 8. His father left before he was born. Michelle spent 4 years as a single mom before meeting Underwood and says she felt no stigma or fear about that.
Mm-hmm. So this is, just to make sure we're clear, this was the guy. The dad is Underwood, and the mom is Sheridan. So he was staring at the test just to make sure, like he was waiting for it to change, hoping that it wasn't true that she was pregnant. But then he got really happy, and so it's worked out okay. It wasn't her first child. She had already had another child by another father, but he was not around. He left before the baby was born. So she was a single mom before she met this guy, Underwood, but she says she felt no stigma or fear. So if you have a stigma, you feel like, oh, I'm a single mom, it's not a good thing, people aren't going to like me, that kind of thing. You feel bad about it, but she didn't. So that's also another thing they're saying is people in their 20s and early 30s, it doesn't matter if you're married or not, or if you're, you have a kid without a dad, it's a lot different than before. Okay, go ahead, Amparo, you can read. Why don't you go ahead and read all the way to there, institution of marriage.
Okay.
There, starting from there.
Okay. And even though she's now 28 and Underwood is 32, she feels no urgency to tie the knot. I don't want to be in my mid-30s having kids, she says, but I can be in my mid-30s getting married. And it makes no real difference. It's still somebody to spend the rest of your life with. Like so many children on the 1980s and 90s, the decades when the nation hit its highest divorce rate. Both Sheridan and Underwood are also worried about the institution of marriage.
Mm-hmm. So I'm imagining you guys understand. To tie the knot?
To get married.
Yeah, to get married. So there's no urgency. There's no, like, they need to do it right now, No rush, right, exactly. So they're not in a rush to get married. And they lived through parents getting divorced and stuff, so they are wary about it. What does that mean, Amparo, if you're wary about something? You know?
No, I'm not sure.
Conscious?
Conscious? Yeah, they're conscious about it, or actually it's a little bit more like concerned. They're kind of, they don't really trust it. They're the institution of marriage. If your parents got divorced, or you saw them fighting all the time, or it wasn't a good thing, then you kind of become wary about it. You're not sure, is this really a good thing or not? You don't really trust it. That's kind of the idea. Okay, Aldona, you read that. Oh, hi, Shabazz. I see you joined.
Hello.
Welcome.
Yeah.
You can read.
Thank you.
Yeah, nice to see you. You can read after Aldona. She's going to read this part right here.
No problem. Not
Okay, once again.
Yeah.
Anderson says when he was a baby or when his mom was still pregnant, he isn't sure. My dad left for a loaf of bread and never came back. Sheridan's parents stayed together but fought a lot. That was hard to watch, she says. I don't want to go through that, and I don't want my kids to see it.
So, left for a loaf of bread and never came back. That's kind of traumatic. Yeah, see ya. Wow, that's crazy. All right, so that's, when you have an what?
He doesn't find the victory.
Yeah, exactly. He got lost. So yeah, and then so that was unfortunate for him. So that wasn't a good experience for him, thinking about his dad. And then her parents, they stayed together, so they stayed married, but they fought a lot. And so she said for her that was hard to watch, and she doesn't want her kids to go through that. So to go through something means to experience it. She doesn't want them to have that same experience that she had. All right, marriage and money. Okay, Shabazz, why don't you go ahead and read that part right there.
Okay. Marriage and money. Money is another factor in the couple's choice not to marry. And Sheridan spent years as a restaurant server, then as a pizza delivery driver. She got pregnant just as she had managed to start college full-time with the federal aid. Underwood is a car technician, but he was going through a rough patch work-wise. It was so sporadic, and it would go from full-time one week to 20 hours the next, he says.
Good. So basically, money is another factor. It's another thing that you have to take into consideration when you're making a choice. Are you going to marry somebody or not? So she had some kind of low-paying jobs. That's what they're saying. And she got pregnant just when she had managed to start college full-time. So just when she had finally got it all together so that she could actually start college. So it's kind of maybe not the best timing, you could say. And she was able to go to college using federal aid. So in the U.S., that's one way that students can get help from the government. So federal help or aid, financial aid is what we call that. And then he was a car technician, but he was going through a rough patch. Shabazz, do you understand what it means there? If he was going through a rough patch, what does it mean to go through a rough patch?
A rough patch, I guess it's like I mean, he was in a kind of trouble, or
yeah, sure.
That facing some difficulties.
Yes.
In his life, right, like that.
Right. Okay. Exactly. So to go through a rough patch is to experience a difficult time period, and work-wise means related to work. So you could go through a rough patch in your marriage, in your relationship, in your work, in your studies, something like that. It just means you're having difficulties. Yeah. The difficulty was that it was so sporadic. So sporadic just means You know, sometimes he has work and sometimes he doesn't. So he would be working, you know, 40 hours a week, and then one week, the next week only 20 hours. So the money's not steady. It's not coming in steadily. Okay. Amparo, want to read all of that right there? Their apartment?
Their apartment is government subsidized. Things were so tight at one point that they shared a cell phone. But isn't marrying young and poor and then working your way up the time-honored way? That seems terrifying at this point. Sheridan says, it's hard enough to work up just on your own. Instead of marriage being a vehicle into adulthood and stability, young adults now see it as the cherry on top, the thing you do once you are established and financially secure. The problem is that's become harder to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, so they're kind of painting a picture that, you know, their financial situation is a little bit difficult right now. Their apartment is government subsidized. So if something is subsidized, it means somebody is helping you out with something like money usually. So the government's helping them. Here, the way that works in the United States is if you qualify based on your income and how many people are in your family, you might get, like, you know, some help with your rent. So maybe if your rent is $800, you only pay half of that or something like that. So things were so tight, so that is talking about the finances were tight, means they don't have a lot of extra money. They were sharing a cell phone, so they could not afford to each have their own cell phone. All right, so this is their question. You know, in the past, maybe getting young, married, and being poor, and then working your way up. You know, we have that expression, to work your way up. It usually means to get out of poverty, you know, get a job, get a better job, that kind of thing. That used to be more how it would go. You would get married before you had that opportunity to work your way up, and then you would just do that together as a couple. That's the time-honored way. So the way that has been happening for a long time. That's what that means. Time-honored means people have been doing it for a long time. But she says that seems terrifying. That's like crazy, or that's scary at this point. It's hard enough to work up just on your own. So to get a good job and to, you know, improve your life, it's hard if you're trying to do it just by yourself. So she thinks it might be harder if you're trying to do it with two people. Okay, so instead of it being a vehicle into adulthood and stability, meaning financial stability, people see it as a cherry on top, so like kind of an extra thing. Once you get established, you know, you have a job, you have money coming in, you're financially secure, then you might think about the possibility of getting married. But that's harder to do these days with the economy the way it is. Okay, Aldona, you can read those all the way down to there. 50 years ago.
Where are we?
50 years ago when people graduated.
But I don't have it on my screen.
Oh, you don't?
The apartment is government subsidized.
That's weird. Let me move it down and see if it moves it down for you. How about that?
Click on someone else icon and then go back to
go back to me.
Yeah.
Like click on different people and then. Now do you see it?
No, it's still the same.
That's weird. I don't know. Do you have the document? Do you have the document opened?
Yes.
Okay. I just highlighted it where it says 50 years ago. You see that? 2 paragraphs there. Maybe I'll stop screen sharing it and then share it again. Maybe that'll help.
Yeah.
Can you guys see it? Amparo, can you see it?
Yes.
Oh my.
How about now, Aldona?
No.
Still not. Are you on an iPad or something? Or on a computer?
I think you have to refresh your page.
Yeah, you might have to refresh your page. Okay, Shabazz, why don't we go to you and then we'll come back to Aldona.
I guess something happening with my computer as well. It got hanged.
Oh no.
I don't know. I can't even move my cursor.
Okay, Amparo. You save us, Amparo.
Okay, 50 years ago, when people graduated high school, they could go out and get a manufacturing job and have a pretty good wage, some benefits, says Ariel Copperberg, a professor of sociology at the University of North Carolina, Greensboro. But those wages had been falling since the 1970s, she says, and the unemployment rate for high school graduates today is about double what it is for those with a college degree.
All right. So yeah, basically, people could get manufacturing jobs like in a car factory or something like that, and they had a pretty good wage. So a wage is how much you get paid, like per hour, and that was pretty good. People could afford to get married, have a home, buy a car, that kind of stuff. But those wages have been falling, so they have been decreasing, going down. So people aren't really making great money nowadays. Certainly, if you just work for minimum wage, you can't afford to buy a house or have a car or anything like that, really. All right. Aldona, is it working for you now?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Do you want to go ahead and read where it says Cooperberg says?
Cesare Cooperberg, a professor of sociology at the University of North Carolina, Greensboro.
The next.
No.
Skip that where it says, but those wages have been falling, and then go to the next paragraph. Cooperberg says. Maybe I can, I'll make it a different color, then you'll be able to see it easier. Can you see it with the red?
No, I see it in Greece, but those wages have been falling since the 1970s. He says.
Okay.
And the unemployment rate for high school
keep going.
graduates today is about double what it's for those with a college degree.
All right, now keep going.
Yes, but I can see the text.
Oh. You can't see it on my screen or on your screen?
On your screen.
Oh, can you see it on yours though if you open up the document?
I have this open, but I can.
Can you see
that's a good idea, Amparo.
the verbal chat? Are you able to see it? Verbal chat?
She copied it and pasted it over there.
Okay, I see it.
Okay.
Copperberg says it's not that lesser educated couples who don't want to wed. She studied the labor market in 20 cities, and in cities that had better labor markets for people with less education.
Whoops. Okay, keep going.
The Pew Research Center also recently looked at how the labor market is affecting the marriage market in different cities and found that never married women overwhelmingly say it's very important that the potential spouse have a steady job, but only 8 every 100 single women among adults ages 25 to 34. Copperberg worries that the changing economy is making marriage almost a luxury, something only for the better off.
Okay, good. All right, so I'm just going to go over, let's see, overwhelmingly. So it just means a lot of people, all of, and not all, but a lot, that like a majority of these women who have never been married, they say it's very important that their potential spouse, so somebody who they might want to marry, that person should have a steady job, so a good job that they're not going to lose, that they're not going to, have them go to halftime or something. So a steady job just means it's a good job. You can rely on it. You can make sure that it's going to be there for you. But this is an interesting statistic. Only 84 employed single men for every 100 single women. So there aren't enough men who are employed for all the single women who want to marry guys who have jobs. So I don't know how many guys are single who don't have jobs, but all right. So she's worried that this changing economy, this, we're kind of getting harder for guys and women, of course, to have jobs and be, especially these what we call steady jobs, one that you can really rely on. If you're waiting to get married for that, then it's almost like a luxury, something that maybe only people who are better off can do. Better off means you're doing better in life. Maybe you have more money, more opportunities, this type of thing. So now they have this thing where they're calling the marriage divide. So Shabazz, you're back. You want to read?
I'm here.
Okay, good. Why don't you read this part? The marriage divide.
Yeah. Okay, marriage divide. At the other end of this marriage divide, Dinah and Dave. Oh.
Sorry.
No problem. Okay, Dinah and Dave Black of Harrisonburg, Virginia, started dating in college and now have graduated degrees and budding careers. The couple is among the minority of
millennials.
What is this?
Millennials. Yeah.
Okay, millennials who feel secure enough to say "I do." So Dave waited to propose until he got a handle on his student loans. I had the bulk of them paid off at that point, he says, and I felt like I was in a decent place to shell out the additionally money for the ring.
Okay. All right. So, all right. So there's another end. So at the other end, so we're looking at the way different people look at marriage. There's this other side to marriage where these two people, they're doing quite well. So they started out dating. Dating is when you go out with somebody. And now they both have graduate degrees. So that's here in the U.S., that's a master's degree at least. And they have budding careers. So if you have a budding career, it means you might be starting, but it's going to be a good one. So budding is like flowers. It's kind of blossoming. It's maybe they just started, but it's on a good path. They're going to be doing well. That's what it means. The couple is among the minority, so they are not the typical picture of a millennial. A millennial refers to this age group of people in their mid-20s to early 30s, where they kind of were becoming adults around the time of the millennium, which is the year 2000. So they were just starting to turn 18. Now they're in their 20s, early 30s, and that's why we call them the millennials. It's that age group. So he says they're among the minority of millennials who feel secure enough. So not everybody who's of that age group is secure financially to get married. So he waited to propose. To propose is when you ask somebody to marry you. And he waited until he got a handle on. So I wanted to point out this expression, to get a handle on something. So the something is his student loans, but the expression is to get a handle on something. It means to get it under control. So you're taking care of it. It's not out of control. It could be, get a handle on the situation, get a handle on your studies, get a handle on your bank account. You can use it in a lot of different ways. And then he said, I had the bulk of them paid off. So the bulk of them means the majority, and he's talking about his student loans, and he had them paid off. So he didn't owe too much more money because most of his student loans were paid off by that time. And so he felt like he was in a decent place. To be in a decent place means to be ready. I'm in an okay place now. I can shell out the money. So to shell out the money for something means to pay for it. So it's another expression, idiomatic expression, which just means to pay for something. You're going to shell out the money for the concert tickets or for the new car. It just means you're going to pay the money. Okay, amparo. Let's move it down so you have a little more there. All right, why don't you read those 3 paragraphs there?
Okay. They were the first in their social circle to get engaged. Now both 27, neither feels ready for children just yet. For me, parenthood is such an enormous responsibility, Diana says. As the longer I give myself, I feel like the better prepared I'll be. But that doesn't mean they are not planning. They recently bought a 4-bedroom house with a big yard out back and good schools nearby. And upstairs is a perfect child's room, complete with a secret passage.
Mm-hmm. Okay, they're the first in their social circle, so they're friends. The first, of their friends to actually get engaged. That means you promise each other you're going to get married in the future. That's when you get engaged. But they're not ready for children. They think it's a gigantic or huge or enormous responsibility. She wants to give herself more time so she'll feel more prepared. But it doesn't mean that they're not planning for kids. That's what they mean. So they bought a 4-bedroom house. That's a big house for 2 people, and a big yard out back. So the big yard means like the grassy area. Maybe they have a garden or something. And then, of course, parents look for good schools. So they're thinking about the future of having kids. All right, Aldona, you want me to copy and paste it into the chat box there?
Yes, this door goes to the attic, says Diana. So for a kid, that would feel very Harry Potter-tastic, I think.
Yeah.
Those different stories, 2 couples who each say they're acting in the best interest of their children or future children, but researcher Copperberg equality in the next generation.
Okay. Attic is just like a top room up above, like in your house. If you have like a special extra room up at the top, people usually put stuff in there, store things like boxes full of stuff. And so they think it would be great for kids. It would feel very like they're Harry Potter. Tastic just means like fantastic, really great, but related to the idea of the Harry Potter story, how Harry Potter was living. Okay, so she's concerned. So these are 2 different stories of 2 different couples. They're doing different things. One couple had kids first, and the other couple is getting married first. But she's saying, this researcher, she's a little bit concerned because she thinks it might mean even more inequality. So in meaning not equal. So some kind of inequality in the next generation related to their children. All right. So, Shabazz.
So,
From the problem, she says.
okay, yeah, the problem, she says, is not that people are having kids without being married. It's that in the US, on average, unwed couples are far more likely to split up by the time their child is 5. And research shows that can have a host of negative impacts on children. It leads to some behavioral problem. Stepperberg says it can lead to academic problem. It just leads to kind of less of a sense of stability, which hurts their chances later on. Of course, it doesn't always happen that way.
So she's a little bit concerned about the kids. That's what she's saying. Because if you look at the statistics, unwed couples, so people who have not married each other, so they have kids together but they're not married, they're far more likely to split up. So to split up means to, separate, to not be together anymore, not live together. And this could have, or does have a host of. A host of means just a lot of negative impacts, so negative effects on children. And she explains some of them. Sometimes it leads to, so it causes kind of some behavioral problems, so maybe the children act out or something, or sometimes they have trouble in school, so that would be academic problem, or sometimes they just don't have a sense of stability, feeling like they know they have a house and people care about them, that kind of stuff, which hurts their chances later on. So to hurt your chances, what chances of what? Like a successful life, doing well, that kind of thing. But of course, that doesn't always happen. All right. Earlier this year. Okay, Amparo.
Earlier this year, Philip Underwood landed a steady job as a car technician at Walmart. He says that made him think differently about proposing to Sheridan. I know every week I will be working 40 hours, he says. I'm not making the most money in the world, but we are not financially tight.
All right, so he landed a steady job. So to land a job means to get a job. So he got a steady job, so that's good, and now he is considering proposing, so asking her to marry him. They're not financially tight anymore, so they have a little bit extra money. They have what we call wiggle room, so they don't have to be so tight. Aldona, I'll copy it here. This is the last part where it says,
Okay.
we have diapers.
We have diapers and everybody eats. Sheridan says, laughing, and we can drive if we need to drive somewhere. By the end of his first month of the new job, Underwood had brought a ring. Sheridan said yes. Since then, he's landed an even better job, and the couple has set a wedding date next June.
Okay, so he got a better job, and now they're going to get married. All right, so we have about a good 10 minutes or so to talk about this. I want to hear from you guys. If you have any questions with the English, of course you can ask me. But if you don't, I want to hear what you guys think about this and what is happening in your countries related to young people getting married, having babies, that kind of thing. So, Amparo, why don't we start with you? What's commonly happening for people in this age group these days?
Well, it's almost the same. People who have a degree or something, they think twice before getting married because they want to get a better job and they have another plan for their life. If they have been studying for a while and then they want to get enough money to have a good car, a good house, then they are just postponing the marriage. But if they are just students from the high school, they don't think twice. They just get married. Not get married, just get pregnant.
Get pregnant, okay.
Then the problem is for the family because most of the time the couple is just a young man like her that just is studying at the high school, and then their grandparents have a new member to educate, to give, to feed, because they don't have the education to get a job. They are under the legal age to get a job. So it's very difficult to have enough money to give a good education to your children.
Yeah.
So unfortunately it's a vicious cycle.
Vicious cycle.
Yeah, because she didn't finish the high school, or at least she finished just the high school and she didn't study at the university. So what is the future for her is just to get a job with a basic salary, no more than 340. The education that she is going to offer to her daughter or her son is limited. She doesn't spend the time with her child, and then it's like the same history
Mhm.
again,
Yeah.
because she cannot control her child. Her child is demanding, why I don't have this, or
Mm.
why I don't have a father here at home.
Yeah.
So that is a kind of, well, a big problem in the society.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, and so would you say that in the past in Ecuador it was the same though in terms of what they said in the article? It was more common for people to get married first and then have children and get their jobs and that kind of stuff.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah,
In the past, yes.
in the past, yeah. Kind of working on your, kind of setting up your life earlier and then working to have a life versus getting your life and then getting married. You know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Aldona, what about in Spain? What's happening with young people these days?
In Poland.
Oh, you're in Poland?
Yes.
Uh, oh my gosh, I kept thinking you were from Spain. Oh my gosh, that's
No,
crazy.
señora, no soy de España.
Oh, no, señora. Oh, habla español. Good one. Okay. What? Oh my God, that's weird. Okay. What's happening in Poland? Thank you for correcting me.
No problem. Well, I think there is one thing that I don't understand in all this stuff. It's
Oh, okay.
when people, okay, don't have money, then they want to get married because they lack money, right? And on the other hand, there are couples that got married in a very boisterous way, with wedding with lots of people, very luxurious
Yeah.
style with honeymoon and all, and they split very quickly, split up very quickly. Get divorced.
They get divorced. They split up. That's good. Yeah.
Yes. So I don't know how to explain that. That one
Yeah, your sound is just
have
cutting out a little
money,
bit.
they have big, great
Yeah.
weddings, and
Yeah.
then they divorced.
Maybe they like didn't take it so seriously or something, you think?
Probably they don't know how to resolve the problems. They how to overcome problems.
Yeah.
Because, okay, in every marriage, the life is not always spreaded with roses, right? Sometimes you have to just put your leg on the thrones of the road.
You have to put
and yes.
Yeah.
And usually the problems are to reverse the couple, the marriage.
Yeah.
Yes. And so I don't know why do people try to base its future on only money, on economics. It's a little bit, I don't know, incomprehensible to me.
So what do you think, like, what's your opinion? People should, if they love each other, just get married and make it work, or not?
Yes, I'm a very traditional person.
Okay.
I would see it with getting married first and then have children and find a job.
Yeah.
That should be. But I know that nowadays the reality is a little bit different, and plans are or might be spoiled.
Oops. You cut out a little bit there. Are you back?
Oh, there yes, I'm here.
Yeah, I hear you. So in Poland, are young people getting married, or are they waiting?
They get married, but I think divorces are like a plague.
Oh, I see. So it's happening a lot. Okay.
Yeah.
And
who suffers most are the children, not?
Sure.
That they don't have their parents.
Yeah. Shabazz, what about you? What do you think about this? You're probably a millennial. Shabazz?
Actually, no, I'm Muslim.
Uh-huh. Okay. So that makes a difference.
And
Yeah.
yeah, major difference. So you
Yeah.
know, Muslims have quite difficult, I mean, quite strict rules. So
Okay.
we follow Islamic rules. The first of all, the couples they don't live together. I mean, if they're not married,
Yeah.
so they can live together. I mean, so if they want to have child, the first they have to get married, and then they can have child as well.
Okay.
So, so I guess they can have lot of plans, you know,
Yeah.
before they get married. So,
Hmm.
so these kind of things are not happen. I don't think that these kind of things happening in Muslim countries, like the problem you were like the problem we were discussing in this paragraph.
Yeah,
So,
I'm curious though. I'm still wondering, even in a Muslim country for Muslim people, is there a common, not common, but like a typical age where people are getting married, and has that
hmm
changed? Like, are people waiting, or are they still getting married like young?
yeah, they get married in the age of around 25 to 30 usually,
Okay.
but but I guess everyone can decide. I mean, if he and she are able to do stuff with each other. I mean, if they are able to support to each other financially or like this. I mean,
Hmm.
usually our family are also involved
Oh, you
in
get help from your family.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Even by choosing our partner as well. I
Uh-huh.
mean,
Okay.
our family get involved in this
Yes.
matter.
I
In
see.
this matter of selecting the bride or like this. I mean, choosing the family because usually I mean, if I'm a guy,
Yeah.
I would like to spend my life with my parents
Mm-hmm.
until
Mm-hmm.
even until they're dead. I mean, usually in the Muslim country it's happening,
Yeah.
but but the girls move to their husband home. I mean, I mean, usually it happens. So, if I'm a guy, so I would like to marry to a girl, and she will come to my home, and she would stay with my parents. If you want to stay alone, it's okay. But usually in a Muslim country, the guy, they stay with their parents.
Mm.
I mean,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, because we respect a lot to our parents,
Mm-hmm.
so that's why.
If I don't know enough about this, so I'm going to ask you. In for Muslim people, do you get divorced, or is that not common, or is it allowed or not
No,
allowed, or?
no. I mean, the divorce is a common. I mean, it usually doesn't happen in Muslim people, but yeah, you can get divorced if you people are not happy. The
Okay.
couple is not happy to each other. They can divorce. It's
Okay.
common thing, not
Okay.
a
So
big problem.
What
Yeah.
happens
yeah.
if you don't like the bride that your parents select for you?
No, my parent doesn't. My parents they do not select, but we have to take permission, like you
Mm.
people do.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm,
mean,
okay.
they do select, but we have our own choices. But we have to ask them. We
Mm,
have to get their permission as well,
Mm-hmm.
uh, because as you know, they grow us up in every matter. They've been supporting as I'm giving you my example.
Yeah.
My, till now I'm 22 and they are still supporting me. I'm living with my parents and I do not work. I just study. I'm just done with my studies a couple of weeks ago. I'm telecommunication engineer. They support me in every matter.
Mm.
So at least it's my it would be my pleasure to ask my parents in every when I do pick something.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be pleasure for me to ask them
Mm-hmm.
to get their permission.
Yeah.
I know it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I take or not, but for just for my player, I would ask them.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hmm
Okay.
It's happening in every Muslim country, in every, I mean, this is just common thing.
Yeah.
Not a big deal. Yeah.
Okay, so a son must bring his bride to home, yes? And only
Yeah,
with
to
his
home, to
parents.
home. Yeah, we can live alone. We can live alone. It's a common sense. We can live alone, but usually people take their bride to home. They live with their parents. I mean, yeah, we have separate rooms, but 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 do you know what I mean? So I mean, that we use common home. Uh,
Yeah.
so
So what happened when your children they are in time to get married? Are you going to still living with your parents?
Usually they leave their home. I mean, at the time it depends. It depends if you are able to stay with your parents. If your children grow up and you think you can't survive in this home. I mean, it's a small home or a big home. It depends. I
Yeah.
mean, if you can move, you can move. If you want to
Mm.
stay, stay. That's it.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Hmm. But usually people stay with their parents, I told you. I mean, yeah.
Mhm. Well, that helps
Hmm.
also with the financial situation, and then when you do have
Yeah.
kids, that helps with raising
Hmm.
the children so that the younger people work
Hmm.
and yeah, so it's
Exactly.
definitely sure.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
We usually spend our life with our family. I mean,
Yeah. So that's a lot different than like in the United States.
exactly.
People want to be very independent and separating from
Hmm.
their parents. Yeah. And the parents
Hmm.
don't want to have to support their kids. Yeah, it's
Hmm.
different.
Yeah. I would as now right now my parents they do not work. My my
Mhm.
my my mother is a housewife and my father is a businessman. But right now I'm done with my studies, so now I have to get a job. Then I will
Mhm.
support my parents. I
Okay.
mean, I won't let them to work
Mhm.
uh, after I get a job. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's just a respect and honor to
Yeah.
parents. That's it. But
And
I know, yeah.
which
Go
country
ahead,
are
go ahead.
you from, Shabazz?
I'm from. I live in Dubai as well as Pakistan. I'm from Pakistan, but sometimes I do live in Dubai as
I
well.
see. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you may have 4 wives, yes?
Uh, no. We usually have single wife. It's just a misconception. I mean, it's just a misunderstanding. I mean, I don't know why every non-Muslim people. I mean, like people like you always have a misconception about the marriage of Muslim people. I
Mhm.
mean, usually, I mean, I'm telling you literally. Usually,
Yeah.
they only have one wife. My parents, my father, they only have one wife, my mother, and they
Mm-hmm.
usually have one wife. But at weekend, the Islam, I'm talking about the teaching of Islam.
Oh,
It
okay.
it allows us we can get married to four at a time if we can support.
Support. You have
uh,
to have money.
And all of them
yeah, yeah,
live together.
exactly. If we have money, we have a lot of money. If you think you can financially support, you can equally react to each and every wife, so you can get married to four. But
Hmm.
right now
And
you
all of
have
them live together with your parents?
Yes.
no. It's not it's not that. So they can't live they can't live together. I mean, I guess they will live
Yeah.
separate in a separate home.
Yeah.
If the husband he can support, he's financially strong and he think he can support to have four wives. So yeah, he can. But usually I have never seen in my life a man with four wives. You can imagine now. We only have one. I mean, usually
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
really
And
it's
and
a
it is
rare.
allowed for her to work or not?
Uh, yes, obviously, she is
Mm.
allowed to work. She can. Yeah, she's like. I mean, the same. She just allowed to work. She work everywhere. I mean, doesn't matter.
Okay.
She can work. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. So we got a little bit of an education from Shabazz here.
Yeah, yeah, because I'm different because I'm Muslim. Yeah, you have
It's
kind of
different
same
than us.
culture.
Yeah. Yeah. Different.
So,
Cool. Well,
so
thanks
I
for
guess
sharing that.
we have interesting class today.
Thanks. Yeah. Well, thanks for showing up, you guys. It was kind of quiet just by myself for a little while, so I'm glad you guys came to class.
Okay.
So, okay, guys, I'll let you go. Thanks.
Take
Take
care.
care.
See ya.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
And
Bye.
we enjoyed your class.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Take care.